Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Wee quick one here for you today. I got asked about this here recently. Somebody had a problem with their machine, wanting to know how to fix it. Now I've got one on with the exact same problem, so I thought do a wee quick video on it just in case anybody else needs the same repair. This is the Bosch SDS drill, the GBH36VF-LI Plus. This is the newer 36-volt Bosch drill. This one has a DC motor instead of the universal motor. This is a newer type design. It takes the big 36-volt batteries, and sometimes these can develop this here fault. What's it doing? Not working. Runs for a few seconds, then stops. Now, these do have an electronic clutch in it. There's no actual physical clutch inside. She relies on sudden jerks and shuts the motor down for the clutch. So whenever she's running, see, that's the electronic clutch. You know it's the electronic clutch because the LED light will be blinking fast like that. This isn't the problem. If you push the battery in, that's why I'm pressing down here, the drill will work no problem. Once you lift her up, she shuts down. What's the problem? There's the problem right there. Battery contacts. Somebody's had a go at trying to get this to run. He's actually bent the contacts around to get a better purchase on the battery. But it's only a short-term fix. To fix this problem, you have to replace this here battery receiver. So there's a wee dedicated video just to show you how to actually do this here repair and replace this here battery receiver. Another problem you can get with these here newer drills is just the motor. They aren't designed to have brushes replaced in them. It's not a universal motor anymore. They've actually went back to a DC motor instead. So there's a 4-brush DC Mabuchi motor inside. The brushes wear out. You have to replace the motor. You can't replace the brushes. 150 quid a pop to change that motor. But apart from that, decent machine. Very good power to these things. Very good hammer. But overall, for the lifespan of the machine, you will have to replace that motor every once in a while. But for this one, just a battery receiver. What's actually happened, the pins themselves, because it's a hammer drill, it's going to be vibrating. So the battery's been vibrating on them, and they've been very slightly losing contact. So instead of just being pressed tight against, they're a wee bit slack. So they've actually been arcing across. That arcing has been causing the pins to get eaten away. You see down in here, there's wee dents. That's what the contacts have worn away. So after a while, once that becomes bad enough, the pin loses contact completely. Good enough to run, but once they start vibrating enough, that initial loss of contact, the controller realizes that, shuts the machine down. Runs again as soon as you pull the trigger, but it's going to stop again a few seconds later. Just as soon as it loses contact with the battery, she shuts down. Very annoying, but very easy to fix. All you need to do, take out the 4 screws holding the gearbox on, pull that forward, take out the handle screws, take off the whole handle. Then there's just a little bit of soldering then to actually desolder the old contacts and solder on the new one. Now, you can't just open this cover, this body, on its own, because the gearbox is actually wrapped around it, so it won't come out. What you need to do is pull the gearbox forward first. Give yourself a good bit of clearance. You don't need to pull it off completely, just enough so you can pull this housing apart. Just like that. There's your motor here. That motor is actually going to be replaced shortly, but for now it's alright. Still got a little bit of life left on it. Main problem These here contacts, you can see where they're actually pitted there now. They've actually eaten through. So they are what's losing the contact, and that's what needs to be replaced. This contact receiver here. So all we need: soldering iron and a new battery retainer or contact retainer. That's your part number there if you're ever needing it. You can order it loads of places online. It's just literally this black plastic cover with the pins themselves. Just a little bit of soldering, then put them on. Very simple, cheap part. Very good of Bosch to sell it separately. Now, the handiest way to do this is just start one at a time. Take out one wire, swap it over. Now, what you don't want to do is mix up the polarities, because you could cook the speed controller if you do that. If you mess up this polarity on the switch, you're going to reverse the motor, reverse the switch, forward and reverse action. But for this here, you probably cook the controller. So make sure you put the leads on where they're meant to be. And the solder as well, sometimes it can be very difficult to get off. It won't melt for you. Get some lower temperature solder, just standard stuff. This stuff is pre-fluxed. And mix a wee bit of that in with it. Doesn't help also when your soldering iron is half worn out. Can put an awful lot of solder on there. You can have to work a wee bit to get it off. Also, it does take quite a bit of heat to actually desolder these leads. This pin does get very hot. Be careful you don't grab hold of it whenever you're desoldering, or even after. And also try to put the leads back on the same orientation. Don't change them round back to front, because you make reassembly very difficult. What I use then is just some sort of wee clamp to hold them in place. A small black one, it's only a very fine lead anyway. You can nip that one off. So you can pull the receiver then, which desoldering the black one. Plenty of room for the small one to strip it back and solder it on. The red one goes onto the same pin as this heavy red one, but the black one is going onto its own pin. Should be us good to go. 3 leads to solder, and that's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. Make sure your motor is clicked down into place. One of these brush leads should be pointing directly up. Make sure your controller is pushed down. Put in your lens. Drop on the lens for your LED light. Don't forget that. Very easy for it to drop out. put the whole machine back together and realise this is missing. It's just sitting there. And make sure your switch and change lever are in correctly. Easier to take the screws out. Slide the cover on here first. Make sure you're catching the sweet dust shield correctly. You might have to just press this battery retainer down to make sure it clicks into place correctly. That's it. That's it down. Go ahead and screw it all back together. Gearbox in. Should just push back in. That should be her ready to go. That's just a clutch, electronic clutch clicking in. That's her. One Bosch 36 volt SDS drill GBH36VF-LI Plus with a new battery retainer or contact retainer. The pins can eventually get eaten away by the battery contacts. They start losing contact and shutting the machine down. Replace the retainer, sorts out your problem. That's how you change it if you ever have the same problem yourself. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps somebody.